And we are live. Welcome to the Lakers Pulse podcast. I am your host, Nelson Espinal, and you can find me on Twitter at NotFamousNelson. And with me today, I have Merch. What's up, Merch?
What's going on?
We've missed a couple of games. We weren't able to do the podcast for those games because his claim was soft and he was sick, and it's like not our fault. But yeah, the Lakers played the Thunder and they played the Spurs. Two game stretch that was really tough, and the Lakers lost in both games. The Thunder game was more competitive throughout, but it was still wasn't close. The Lakers weren't the most talented team. They didn't have the best player on the court, and it was pretty obvious from the beginning. But obviously, the shining star was D'Angelo, who had two really good games back to back. He didn't have as big of a point total in the Spurs game, but he still was effective passing the ball and creating for others, doing what D'Angelo does. Unfortunately, his assist numbers weren't all that good, even though he was really setting up his players. Just because the Lakers really couldn't shoot for a good stretch there. So I'm gonna give this one to you, Merge. What were your thoughts on these two last games without Lou Williams?
The ball seemed to be moving around a lot more, especially in the second unit, because the second unit was primarily based on Lou basic offense and drag screens, and pretty much Lou and Clarkson going ISO on drag screens, and now it's a lot more set plays. Um, being ran, when you have people like Zubats and Larry, they're actually getting a lot more use in this type of offense than just being guys that set screens. They're touching the ball a little bit more. They're pass the ball been going around a little bit more. I think it was Harrison Fagan who tweeted out a stat that said the Lakers have passed the ball 30 more times in the last two games than when they're with Lou, which is kind of expected. But it just, even though we lost pretty badly yesterday, and I think it was pretty. It was never a blowout in the Thunder game. There was a stretch where they put up 10 points in a row, and it looked like we were down by 20. But the Lakers never really gave up that game, and they seemed to be in it the whole time, mentally at least. D'Angelo put up 26 shots, which is great to see. In the Thunder game, played around 34, 35 minutes that game. He was obviously the best player on the Lakers. He was he was setting up guys in the first quarter mostly. He I think he had 5 assists. The end of the game was 6, but I think he was more focused on scoring the ball in the third and fourth quarters. He got to the rim a lot more, which I was happy to see. I think he made 4 layups at the rim, and they're pretty toughly contested too. Especially the one when he was on a 2, he stole the ball and it was a 2-on-1 against Abrinas and I think Cantor,
Mm-hmm.
and he scored over them somehow. He seemed to just be more comfortable. He seemed to be shooting the shots he wanted. He was making a mid-range number, which was nice to see. Now we just need that 3-pointer to come back more consistently, and I think we'll start to see the D'Angelo that we know is in him. The future superstar D'Angelo that he has the potential to be. But that 3-point shot opens up a lot more for him. I think against the Thunder he was 4 for 14, I want to say,
Mm-hmm.
and he only made 2 in the Spurs game. He didn't seem to play much that game, except for the final 7 minutes of the fourth quarter. But at that point, they were down by about 25, 30. But actually, the person that actually surprised me the most in these last 2 games was Jordan Clarkson. He seemed to be a lot more engaged defensively. He seemed to be a lot more willing to pass the ball because, he knows he's going to get the ball back. With Lou, he didn't know when he was going to get the ball. He just, he I think what he tried to do was, okay, I have the ball. I don't know when I'm going to get it back again. I just need to score now and make the most of me having the ball. As good as Lou was for us this year and somewhat last year, I think he was kind of a bad he was a really bad fit with Clarkson. I mean, having two scoring guards who are primarily scoring guards and isolation type scorers, I mean, doesn't really help with playmaking.
Yeah.
But Jordan had 5 assists against the Thunder, and I think he had 3 or 4. It seemed like he had more against the Spurs, but he was finding Zubats a lot on pick and rolls, which was nice to see. There was a couple when Thomas Robinson came in the game where he found him. He was a lot more decisive, a lot more, not just pounding the ball and dribbling it into a turnover. There's a couple of instances of that, but a lot less than what we've seen this year.
Yeah.
And he's been more active defensively with his hands, been getting a little bit more deflections. So it's nice to see him kind of start to revert back to the rookie Jordan Clarkson. He's not there yet. He isn't close there yet, but if he can do that consistently, from what I've seen, then he is our sixth man of the future.
Yeah, which is, I think that starting two guard is pretty much out the window with him at this
Yeah.
point. But I think that, yeah, like getting a starting two guard, especially at the contract that the Lakers have, that is a great value. And the Lakers, even though, there was a lot of trade talk and a lot of people wanted to trade him, he still has value to the team. Like, that's a great contract if he pans out and develops the right way. So Lakers fans should be rooting for him to pan out. And at the very least, you trade him and he becomes an even more valuable asset, which you can attain other stuff if that's the route that you choose to go to. But yeah, I think my main thing with D'Angelo is that he finally started to hit off the dribble jump shots, and that was the thing that he really struggled with. And I think that when he hits those kind of shots, even if they're mid range shots, and his whole game really expands because he's a great pick and roll guard. We all know this. But when his mid range shot and his pull up shot is falling, then he's able to create much more easier, and he doesn't have to like go in the paint every single time, which he already isn't the best at. And his 3 point shot is struggling too. So he has to have something. And his question in college was, okay, if I can't shake my man, then I'll just step back and shoot a jump shot, and he made it because he's taller than the other guard usually, and he can get up higher than the other guard, and has a higher release point than the other guard, and that gives him a great advantage already. And he was probably he's the best player on the team, and he was still the best player without Lou Williams. He wasn't the best scorer, but now he's the best scorer, best playmaker, best rebounder, probably best defending guard. Although with the Lakers' new addition, that's probably not true anymore.
No.
And I think that I don't know if you mentioned Julius Randle, but Julius Randle, he's been that's kind of my reaction. I'm like, oh look, there's Julius Randle. He ran across the court.
He's been trying to find a lot. He used to do this a lot earlier in the season, where he would get the ball, sprint down the court, and find a shooter. And even though I think he only had 3-4 assists last game, but he's been finding Nick Young a lot the past couple of games, even though Nick's been slumping.
Yeah, and even with the Knicks slump, I think he's just struggled to really like find the exact passing lanes and pass the way he did before, because he isn't a great like creator. Like, he's not going to create like you give him the ball, go create a pass, but he can certainly find open man if he gets double teamed, or he can have the little drag screen action where he sets a drag screen and then he hands the ball up to a shooter like he did with Nick Young. Like, those kind of plays are the ones that he can make. Like, he's not again a limited playmaker, but he's actually a really good playmaker. But he's not like a Ben Simmons type where he's just like, you can just give him the ball and he can run a pick and roll and things like that. I think he could develop that. He could develop more playmaking. He's still really young, but I think for now, I think Julius Randle's really struggling, and it's pretty obvious that it's kind of hurting the Lakers, because Larry Nance is been willing to shoot more. These past few games.
That's huge. Yeah.
Yeah, and with that, that's good. But Julius Randle is the starting four of the future, and you want to see him, go back to his finishing, because his finishing has gone way back down to earth since his hot start in the beginning, and his mid-range shot has improved. And you want to see him keep shooting those. Like, if you're gonna airball a three, that's fine. Shoot the shot. That's the point. That's the only way they can get better. So that pretty much does it for the Laker guys. I mean, did we miss anyone?
Zubats had a solid last 2 games.
Yeah, he's not playing like up to the level he was when he entered when he finally cracked the rotation. But he's still
The
playing.
the Thunder game, I think he did yesterday. He didn't, but the Thunder game he had 11 and 6.
Yeah, that's pretty much what you should expect from him. That's I'll take that from the starting back up big.
Yeah,
But the problem with the Lakers right now is that Tariq's not really doing much for the team, and
yeah,
he's really struggled. He's really gone back down to earth. He's not really doing much except battling on the boards, which he can do, and he's always going to give you that. But there's a point in time where you need more from your starting center. And with Maz buried in the bench and Dang probably going to be buried in the bench soon, with Ingram getting more minutes, then you gotta you're probably gonna have to start Zubac at some time at some point this season and just see what he can give you. Probably like the 10 games left in the season. Probably just run him out there, see what he can do.
yeah,
I mean, he's obviously the best fit apart from Tariq Black, as far as like big for D'Angelo Russell.
yeah. I think Zubac is a better fit than Tarek, just because I think Zubac has a better touch, and the hands they're both good with their hands. But Zubac, one, it just sets bone crushing screens, and two, has a softer touch than Tarek.
That's all true. Um,
I think we forgot to talk about Ingram.
oh shoot. So yeah, Ingram's been doing stuff. Oh, how could we forget his
I
last
know.
game? He scored 22 points. He broke his career high.
Yeah.
He's probably gonna break that a couple more times.
Hmm.
It's pretty safe to say. And although like some of his points came in late in the game, he still had a really good, effective, like real game time run. His jump shot started to fall a bit. He started to create for himself more off the dribble, take on contact, get to the rim, which for a guy his size, it's not exactly easy yet. It will be, but he started to flash that offensive game that people have been waiting to see, and he's just like he's still at a point where his shot's not falling, but he's flashing and he's showing off everything else that he can do.
Yeah, he had that dunk yesterday on Powell. That was super impressive.
Yeah.
I think, and he also had that little Dirk 1 foot fadeaway on Kawhi, which was super cool to see too.
Yeah, that was pretty dope, and obviously the dunk that everyone keeps talking about. He had a really good impressive dunk against Spurs, and obviously the Taj Gibson dunk, which was
Oh yeah, the one on Taj. I forgot about that too.
yeah, it's pretty telling how long he is and how big an effect he has on offense and how he can just reach over even Taj Gibson, just dunk over him like it's nothing.
Yeah, that was the most respectful poster I've ever seen.
Yeah. So in case you missed it, the Lakers bought out Jose Calderon and they released him.
They
And
shouldn't have done that. They should have kept him and gotten rid of D'Angelo.
yeah,
Word Dr. Robert Clapper.
oh yeah, word to him. But the Lakers did sadly end up waiving him, and now he's off the team. And Merge, what were your thoughts on Jose Calderon and what he brought to the Lakers? And are you sad to see him go?
Well, I think he was actually he seemed like a really nice guy and a guy that like D'Angelo kind of went to and talked to a lot.
Mhm.
So and he seemed like he was super like respectful with the media and stuff like that. As a player, that's a different story. I thought he might be able to bring a little bit more spacing, but he didn't shoot the ball that well when he was really played, and he had an injury early in the season. But I mean, sad to see him as a person go, and hopefully he gets picked up by the Warriors and wins the ring. I'll be happy for him if he does that. But it's a necessary move, and it obviously paved the way for the next thing we'll talk about.
Yeah. I hope that he really does get a ring. I think odds are he will, and he can just sit there and shoot threes all day because that's how good the Warriors are, and even their bench is really good. Um, and he's going to be a great addition to the backcourt. You get some good veteran leadership to that team. So uh, we're gonna start this podcast earlier, but I'm pretty glad that we held off because the Lakers signed the league phenomenon. Apparently, Lakers Twitter like love child, David Nwaba, and it was an interesting signing because he's been great in the D League, and Merge has been following him pretty closely. He was one of the guys that Merge wanted the Lakers to get after they either cut Huertas or Calderon or one of those two. So Merge, take it away.
So David Nwaba he's 24 years old. He is a 2'3". He's 6'4" with a 6'11" and a half wingspan, which is ridiculous. And he's super athletic. He is a guy that he brings a lot defensively, especially with obviously with his wingspan. The defenders were 17 points better when he was on the court this season, and they were 6 points worse when he was off the court. So that shows his impact defensively. I've seen comparisons to Tony Allen and Jonathan Simmons on the Spurs, which is, Lakers need defense, and he can bring that defense, and he might actually be our best defender now, which is kind of sad, but I think he can be a above average defender in the NBA. It's going to be about if his skills can translate into the NBA. He's a really, really good slasher and finisher at the rim. Shoots around 68% at the rim in the D League on over 300 attempts, which is super impressive. Like I said before, super athletic. He gets most of his points off of backdoor cuts and alley oops and attacking the rim, stuff like that. So hopefully we can see him play some with the team in general, but I want to see him play with D'Angelo because I think D'Angelo can maximize his skills a little bit better than Clarkson would. But I'm happy that Lakers finally took some sort of risk and went into the D League and got a high upside guy that could, be a good part of our rotation for the future. So I'm happy with.
Oh, Merge.
What?
You sort of cut out right there.
Oh, I said good on Joey and Ryan and Jesse to get pick him up. So I'm happy with the signing, and I really want to see him play some rest of the season.
Yeah.
And see what we have in him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know much about him as a player, but as far as like a front office move and an asset management move, I think it's a great move. I think that you got rid of a veteran point guard that's not really playing for you, and that can offer more to another team, and you bring in a young, high risk. No, I mean a high reward, low risk player that if he pans out can like you said, crack the rotation in the future. It could possibly be Anthony Brown that we always wanted. He doesn't offer the three that you want from an ideal 3 and D wing, but he definitely offers the D. Pun intended. And he has a really long wingspan, and he's gonna be able to really cause some problems on that end. He's a great slasher, great athlete. He's gonna be obviously a good fit with D'Angelo and just everything that D'Angelo does to improve his players. But he's probably gonna start off the bench. Hopefully, get some runtime this next game because I think that he deserves a really solid shot, and you really want to see if the Lakers need two things: they need defense and they need shooting and playmaking too. And Nwaba offers the defense and some slashing and some transition offense, and that's what Lakers need. They need these kind of role players, these niche players that fill a role, and paired with Jordan Clarkson, if he can improve his playmaking, that could be also a really good fit too. Just because Jordan's obviously not a good defender, and Nwaba could guard the better bench scorer, like Lou Williams. Shout out to Lou Williams, killing it in Houston. But yeah, I think it's a great move. Just not knowing anything about it and just trusting all the good things that Ben Rosales has to say and Harrison Fagan, just trusting their opinions. I'll take their word for it. This guy's worthy of a 10-day contract. And although there's like other players that I love to give shots, and hopefully if somehow Nwaba doesn't pan out, then you could give Deontay Weber a shot or some other D leaguer, because the D league's really full of great role players and players that can contribute to even a championship team down the line. And those are the kind of players that they just need to start filling out, especially if they're going to be going after a player like Paul George. You want to have role players that are already there in place that are on cheap contracts like he's going to be on.
Yeah.
Um, and to wrap it all up, the Lakers traded for Ennis, and at the moment we didn't know much about Ennis. We didn't really care. We thought he wasn't getting any playing time, but he did find some playing time against the Spurs. It was garbage time, but and he was he was great in garbage time. And shout out to Huertas for being great in garbage time too. Hopefully he's a. I think it's safe to say that he's a better player than Huertas, and that hopefully with his run time and with Lakers getting rid of Jose Calderon, that Ennis gets some real run. Uh, the worst that happens is that Ennis earns himself some money, and the Lakers could possibly bring him back if he really pans out this year as a backup point. So, Merch, what were your thoughts on Ennis? What he did in garbage time, and what he could potentially offer to the team?
Um, from what I know of him is it's that he is a pass first point guard, and he's not like an insane playmaker. He doesn't have crazy vision or anything like that, but he's solid enough. He isn't really a scorer, but I mean, it's nice to add someone who isn't a score first guy, because Lakers already have two of those in guards, and D'Angelo and Clarkson, and even Nick Young, if you want to put him in that same category. But I kind of want to see Ennis and D'Angelo play together a little bit, just because, like I said before, Ennis is a playmaker, and his strength is passing the ball. So maybe give D'Angelo some time with the ball out of his hands and play some off ball. He was a late first when he got drafted, so I mean, there's talent there, and there's a reason he was drafted at that point. If I think he could potentially be our backup point guard of the future, but I'd have to see a little bit more on the scoring side, and I've seen that his turnover percentage is pretty brutal. So if he can cut down turnovers and just be a good distributor, find some way to score a little bit more, then I think he could be a fine backup point. But I don't know how much playing time he'll get this rest of the season, especially with us now getting Nwaba. I think Nwaba is a better prospect than Ennis, especially for today's NBA, just because he's long and athletic, and he's a good defender, and Ennis doesn't really have a specific skill that screams current day NBA. So yeah.
Yeah. I want to get your thoughts on whether the Nwaba signing should stop the Lakers from drafting a wing in the NBA draft.
I think no. I think they should. It shouldn't stop them. I mean, I don't expect them to retain Nick Young in the offseason, so we're gonna need another guard. And if Nwaba does pan out, he can play in our summer league team. We can bring him on board preseason, and if he shows what he can possibly show this rest of the year, then I think having him off the bench, having a guy that can bring energy and bring athleticism, and I mean, even if Lakers keep their pick and draft, Ball or Jackson or something like that, we still need more depth, and especially if you get Ball, he isn't the best defender, and bringing Nwaba can just have some more defense if you need defense, or if you need to put someone on. You need to put a person on one of the premier guards in the NBA, so maybe he would be able to slow him down. So I don't think it should stop them for going after a wing in the draft.
Yeah, I mean, I I think that if Nwaba does stick with the team, then I think that they should really go after like a shooter more, primarily, just because you need that balance. And if Nick Young does leave, and if for whatever reason the Lakers can't get a shooter, then they're going to need to draft a shooter. And I mean, because say what you want about the team that Lakers have right now, but they have like little shooting apart from Nick Young, Russell, Ingram's still coming along, so he's a work in progress. Randle hasn't really shown that 3-point shooting. Zubac could potentially be a 3-point shooter. We still don't know yet. He still hasn't really shot from that much in the NBA. So the Lakers will need shooting and wing depth, and it shouldn't really stop him from going after wings because you can never have enough wings in the NBA. They're so valuable, and especially with the Lakers, that if they draft the guard, then they're gonna really need some defense to back them up to bring off the bench for some certain scenarios. I think that's probably gonna do it for us here.
Yeah.
This is a short, quick podcast, just going over the past few games and the new signing. It was an interesting signing, and we hope that it pans out. We hope that David can find a spot on the roster. He's worked hard to get here. He's tried out, been denied. Worked hard in the D League to get to where he is. He's from California, so always got to root for those guys. And he's a great story. You guys can go read up on that on Silver Screen and Roll. Harrison does a great job of covering the D League, and he wrote a fantastic piece on Nwaba and how great he's been in the D League. So you guys can go check that out. But that'll probably do it for us here. Have a couple pieces coming up on the Lakers front office and Lonzo Ball and the issues with drafting him. And Merge isn't right for us because he's lazy and he doesn't do anything except party. So yeah, he's one of those guys. So you guys should probably not follow him. But Merge, if they did want to follow you, where can they find you?
At Merge Christian.
Well, you heard it here first. If you guys want to go follow Merge and see his retweets about rap, you guys can go do that over there. If not, you guys can go follow me at Not Famous Nelson. I'm a much better tweeter. So we'll catch you guys tomorrow. We'll do a recap podcast of the next game. So catch you guys later.
Peace.